So what the Facebook in-app shows is, wow, we spent 81% less and made 41% more revenue.
Right.
For the lack of top line.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a slow death. What other marketing does he run? Facebook?
He runs a small amount of Facebook, yeah, and I've asked for access to his Facebook so that Faison and I can look at what they're doing, because he said in the meeting I had with him that they've switched from outbound to mostly remarketing in their Facebook. So we wanted to go in there and double check.
Oh, that's gonna not play well with PMAX.
Yeah, and he's only running PMAX in there. So we've talked about relaunching standard shopping and seeing but pending what they're doing in Facebook, because we want to actually see it for ourselves and not just take his word for it.
Well, not only did he switch heavily to remarketing, he also it looks like pulled back. This is the last 30 days compared to previous 30 days. So there's an overall drop of 24%, which I would imagine, did that come sometime around March 20th, that conversation?
Yes. We met, well, we met a week ago. I think it was May. Yeah. Late in April. Oh, no. Sorry. We met the end of April, for the first time. And he had mentioned recently switching over the PMAX. So that could well have fallen in the time frame for sure.
If I do complete, there's a 40% loss in traffic and an 81% drop in sessions by social. Now, let's just say he had a UTM whoopsie daisy. Right. That would mean that direct would go up, and it's not. So it's definitely a pullback, which pullback search, pullback direct sales. Now search is up here, but the reason why Facebook has now attributed is they did go probably towards more remarketing, which means so what the Facebook in-app shows is, wow, we spent 81% less and made 41% more revenue.
Right.
For the lack of top line.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a slow death. But the bad part is now it's going to be solely up to Google to bring in the new traffic, which we're using a platform that's just going to kind of like try to hover at that point. Well, this is also reducing sales here that we can see. So there needs to be a prospecting source somewhere. And I think that the prospecting source, my opinion would be right now, I would be going after the angle of election season and instability in the socioeconomic climates. That would be my recommendation. Preppers are always, looking for the next big explosion. Yeah. Unless, and that's part two where just go to their site, their theme of their site, and I haven't been there yet. Man, that just nice drop ship. I love when they have a quote in their logo. Click here. Look at that, man. Here, just gut check for fun, everybody. Doesn't that look like someone put the instructions and the developer just pasted the instructions into the picture? It reminds me of this. Hold on. I think the same person probably made this cake. Just write happy birthday.
How did you get that so fast?
I'm quick. So I think that's probably what that reminds me of that there. What's the trust factor on the site? Eesh. Yeah. Okay. How's the pricing competitively? Do we know?
From what I understand, it's fairly competitive, or not like the cheapest, but he also said we're starting to go on Amazon, but he just told me that very briefly. I haven't had a follow up on it yet. I tried to look at their products myself on Amazon, and I couldn't tell what was their brand and what was just the generic, their main brand that they sell. Where is it here? What's the brand they sell? The big one, Durastill. So they sell Durastill as the brand they just started putting on Amazon apparently, but I couldn't find anything with their company brand within Amazon. But he said they're on there. So I don't know. I'm hoping to clear that up with them.
Gotcha. All right, so water distiller, Distill, water machine, classic distiller, distill. So I think one of the reasons why we're seeing a stability is obviously it's a lot of good cold traffic. No one's really looking for their brand name. But right here, best shit hit the fan water filter. This is that prepper thing right there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is definitely going to be a prepper type of mantra. I would share this with them. Just say, hey, by the way, with remarketing pulling back, we're having obviously a lot of good success with Google. Now, our cold traffic in Google is good. That's why with a 40% reduction in meta traffic, our orders didn't decrease, but there is a increase in return customer rate. So this could be a false positive for the short term until that atrophies, because returning customers can only buy so many water filters.
Right.
So we're looking at
so the data is already starting to support our theory about what's going to happen.
Yeah. So if we look at new customers since March 21st, this is when they switched to remarketing. Let's do this. And then what is this time frame? Feb 4th, March 20th. Okay. Feb 4th, March 20th is what we get to compare that to. So 133. So they lost 26 new customers between them turning off Meta and going to remarketing.
Okay.
But since they lost 33 new customers, it was falsely added up to, well, now we have a few existing return customers. And it looks like only kind of just recently here. I think that's one of the reasons why since the 28th, we're probably having some good success. Yeah, there's your success here. Success here. Whoa, 81% more orders, but that came from like all the returning customers. It was probably, it could have been a restock. Oh no, did they push Facebook again? Wondering if that happened. But their Facebook doesn't seem to be going cold. It looks like they're using a lot of in-app ROAS to be like, yeah, we're successful, but they're missing the forest for the trees. Like
they really are stuck on the ROAS, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's why this thing's all flip-floppy. Okay, I would draw them a bigger picture. Say if we take a step back and we don't take any sort of in-app platform metrics and kind of, you know, distill what's going on here. They'll like that joke. Then we look at the loss of their cold traffic has done a small number in decline of new customers. It's been recently made up with existing customers, but those existing customers will become less valuable over time because they're going to be doing replacement filters, which is also why they probably saw a spike up in return customer rate and the drop of their AOV by 38%. And those are going to be like, you know, gasket set parts, and plastic lids, and a switch. So they're a couple takeaways is losing core product sales. New customers are down 33 from the switch to remarketing. What does Google say in the last 7 days? I would imagine that's probably showing some, yeah. So Durastill distiller parts that might be coming from their existing customers or people that purchased from them before that forgot about waterdistillers.com because that is a very generic name and they're only resellers, so not investing in their brand.
That's right.
So that makes a lot of sense, especially if Durastill went out of stock somewhere. This is like woohoo, free existing customers that probably didn't buy from us before.
They had a backlog issue several months ago. They ordered well in advance because they had been having procurement issues for a while. So
makes sense. Makes sense. It's cool when you kind of come and like take a step back and like once you start, you know, looking at these things, I would say, I would imagine in-app ROAS on Meta is most likely up 100% or more. Like that'd be a good question. In-app ROAS on Meta is most likely up 100% or more. Yes, but that's also because we're, you know, hemorrhaging our own clients. So return customer rate is up 30%, which is offsetting the top line metrics to a slightly down trend, but our Future business is at risk. Now let's look at this since year over year. All right, this is where things are going to start to hurt now. So this right here, let me just scroll out a little bit. This will show you if you're measuring business performance year over year. This is down 30%, down 50%, down 30%, down 13% because that's up 42%.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what's interesting is this here is floating that, but these here are all metrics. There we go. So these are your correlating metrics. Your return customer rate's up because they're buying refillables, and because there's your own customers, it's up because they trust you. Mm-hmm. But our top line is we're going to see a slow decay, and that's why year over year, I mean, we are just down, down, down. So I'm going to drop this here as a print screen for you, and this will say we need a cold traffic channel to push. Now, Performance Max can probably do that. It may not. It's really going to be up to what's our asset? Is it a feed only, or is it a full build? It's a full build. Okay. What is enabled? Standard shopping is not really the answer here. I mean, it could be because they're going to be doing a lot of remarketing on Meta, but I think that their Meta was actually performing better than what they saw. They were just judging it wrong. Mm-hmm. Actually, let me do that and do this theoretic. So if we did January to the 19th, year over year, it's still down, down, down. No, it's still trending down here. Oh, that's down. I mean, everything's down. Okay. What was going on between October 2023 and December 2023? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. I just took over, and I don't believe we touched on that during the meeting. It might have been the stock issues. That was kind of a pervasive issue for them for a little bit. But yeah, from a marketing standpoint, I know they've been reducing their budget gradually from, I think they were at 8,000 and they've been trickling down to 3,500. So that might be a factor.
Yeah, it looks like when everything was being pushed, especially on Facebook, your direct's going to go up, your social's going to go up, so your search's going to go up, just not as much because it's going to be the return brand. Mm-hmm. But this is year over year, fourth quarter 23 to fourth quarter 22. Now, fourth quarter is going to be always like, the land of milk and honey. But I wonder what that spike there is. That's interesting. Emergency. There's a page here that went nuts. There are two of them. Is that still active? Oh, that's a Berkey competitor. Okay. All right. So here's what I would say is I would definitely push less hard into meta remarketing. That was too big of a shift. Mm-hmm. Your in-app ROAS is going to look amazing until you're out of business.
Yeah.
So that would be the first thing to say is, hey, trying to do good by your business. This is not something that is sustainable. Half the traffic is not sustainable. I would say, and then make the mention that the mix between Meta and Performance Max is Performance Max is going to remarket heavy. Mm-hmm. And if Meta's remarketing heavy, remarketing's always going to have a better ROAS, just like brand. It always will. Mm-hmm. Just at very much lower volumes. So it's almost the fact of, do you want high profitability or do you want, scale, or a mix of both? If you want high profitability, then just hang tight here. If you want profitability and scale, we need to start pushing more cold traffic. The source as to which I would recommend would be in Meta, just because it's an election year. And this is where we're going to start to see more prepper mentality closer and closer to the election. There's also Trump is on trial. He is of the base. I would say that this is probably going to resonate with most resonate mostly with, and the results of those trials could cause potential for the theoretical socioeconomic, or not socioeconomic, but just the social climates, really. So I think he may be missing a mark on capitalizing his base during probably one of the most important times of the year.
Yeah.
So even if we just don't put all back into there, but I would say that would be the angle I would begin to test and then watch top line. You could see extreme correlations between their shifts and what they've been making now, what in-app ROAS potentially would look like, but what's actually going on in his business.
What I really want to do is, I really wanted to get us that access to Facebook so we can take a look and then, hopefully softly convince him to let us take over his meta so we can do this all together in-house instead of trying to fight with his meta people and fight with him. And that's the goal.
Well, the thing I would say is, hey, if you're going to do all remarketing, why don't we just do all brand? You're going to have, 10Xs across the board easy. Now, no one ever find you again, but all that returning customer every day, we're going to go down to the 30% of the people that are left, which is fine because apparently Google can go down to only the 50% of the people that are left. So why don't we just make the full shift in there and just, ride out that high amount of volume until, we part ways. I would honestly ask him that. Just say, hey, not to be exaggerative, but if we're going to cut out 50% of the meta traffic, why don't we cut out, 50% of the Google traffic? I mean, we're going to be down 100% year over year, but it'll be extremely profitable.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that. Well, we've already kind of made one of those changes, so I'm curious as to why that's okay. We were halfway there. So all it is to be said is when you pose those questions, you want to get them thinking differently.
Mm-hmm.
If looking at in-app ROAS, be like, well, crap, we could do the same thing on Google. All I have to do is just go after your brand name and then boom, amazing results.
Yeah.
We're already 50% of the way there. If we go 100% of the way, you cut out 77% of your traffic and make, 50% of the sales. Great. That's pretty cool. Look at that. You look at how much profit there. Minus 77, minus 53. That 20% right there is just pure cash in the bank. Why would we do that again? Well, I don't want to do that. Exactly. So why don't we think about how to slowly push rather than just, cut off one leg in a marathon?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, lots to work. Thanks, John.
Yep, you got it. Typically, this is how everyone measures clients wise. CPA, ROAS, like what am I getting, cost per conversion, blah, 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 and what is the return on ad spend. These are the metrics that we should be counting. This is something that all of these